So, I'm sure most everyone has eaten at a restaurant before. Of course, the concept of buying prepared food isn't entirely new. The idea of selling food for profit existed even during the earliest of civilizations. It's really no coincidence that the growth of restaurants throughout history correlates closely with the growth of cities. The need for public eateries was firmly established as far back as the Roman Empire and even ancient China, when peasants and farmers brought their livestock and other goods to urban markets. Often they traveled for several days at a time and needed a place to eat and rest. This brought about the earliest form of restaurants, the roadside inn. Usually located in the middle of the countryside, inns served meals at a common table to travelers. There were no menus or even options from which to choose. Every night you got what you got, and that was it.
It doesn't matter what you think!
Within city walls, where living conditions were cramped and many people did not have the means to cook their own meals, vendors sold food from small carts or street kitchens, which is still a popular form in many parts of the world. Think of the hot dog stand in New York City, like the one that Spider-Man likes to frequent. The meals they sold were usually pre-cooked and affordable, a forerunner to the modern fast food industry. These early inns and taverns were more than just a place to eat, however. They served an important social function by bringing people of different backgrounds together. Through the Middle Ages and into the Renaissance, taverns and inns continued to be a main place to buy a prepared meal in Europe. In Spain, these establishments were called bodegas, which served small savory Spanish dishes called tapas. In England, foods such as sausage and shepherd's pie were popular, while in France, stews and soups were almost always offered. All of these early restaurants had one thing in common, that they served simple foods commonly found in peasant and merchant homes. Following Columbus's voyage to the Americas in 1492, global trade increased, introducing new foods to Europe. Coffee, tea, and chocolate were soon being served in public houses alongside beer, ale, and wine. By the 17th century, while full meals were still typically eaten at home, upper and upper middle class folks would sometimes hire a caterer or take their meals to a private salon of a public house, rather than eat in the main dining room. In France, throughout the Middle Ages, guilds had monopolies on many aspects of prepared food. For example, charcutiers, a word that comes from char, meaning meat, and cuit, meaning cooked, were the guild who prepared cooked meats for sale. If you did not belong to that particular guild, it was illegal to sell cooked meat in any form. And so, relating to this, there is an oft-repeated historical anecdote crediting the first restaurant in Paris to a man named Boulanger, who in 1765 went up against the powerful medieval catering guilds. The story goes that Boulanger added cooked lamb to a stew he sold in his shop near the Louvre. The Caterers Guild sued him, but Boulanger won the case. Over the next 20 years leading up to the French Revolution, more shops like Boulanger's began operating in Paris. When Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI went to the guillotine, the old ways of French society went with them. The guilds were swept away, and many chefs employed in aristocratic and royal households found themselves unemployed. Many of these displaced workers opened up dining businesses in Paris, bringing with them a new way of dining. It has long been accepted that the first establishments that we would consider restaurants originated in Paris in the mid-18th century. The word restaurant is a French word that originally referred to a type of restorative meat broth or bouillon, created by steaming various types of meat. Such a broth was offered to those who might be too weak to eat a full meal. The institutions in which these restaurants were served had costly and luxurious interiors and appealed to a wealthy clientele. They were a pretty far cry from the unsavory taverns and inns that typically provided food to travelers. Concepts such as seating patrons at their own tables, providing dining at unspecified hours, and a menu from which diners could choose their own dishes came out of these institutions and became an established part of restaurant service. Though public houses continued to exist, the rise of fine dining in France would soon spread throughout Europe and into the New World. One should know that public gatherings over food and drink have long been a part of human society, as they offer a place for people to come together for a meal and to socialize with others. And this isn't the end of the restaurant story, though. Watch out for part 2 of this video coming soon, where we'll discuss the modernization of restaurants in Europe, Asia, and the United States. So guys, here's a question for you. What are some of your favorite memories from eating at a restaurant? Personally, I once went to a local diner that had a Halloween theme. The servers dressed up as vampires and other monsters. And as a kid, I was a bit scared but also super excited, and I had a lot of fun eating cookies with little monster faces on them. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe and watch some more FoReallz education videos with new videos coming out weekly. Peace out.